Hey everyone, welcome back to a new video in my website redesign series. I know it has been a while since the last one. Anyway, the last video that you saw in the series was me doing the wireframing for my blog. I was, wireframing, figuring out some different layout ideas I had and what content I wanted to be on the blog pages. And today I'm going to show you the high fidelity design and the process that I went through there in refining it, deciding on it, settling on exactly what I wanted my blog to look like, and then also show you a few things about the build. I built it out in Webflow using the Webflow CMS. I played with the Webflow interactions for kind of the first time and had a good time figuring out some cool little interactive things on my site that I'm excited to show you. So that said, let's dive in to Figma and I'll show you my design process. Alright, so if you remember from my wireframing video, the two main layout ideas I had, one was kind of centered and then one had a sidebar on the left. And both of these were kind of minimal in the amount of elements on the page and content in the design because I wanted to focus mostly on the writing because it is a blog after all. So I first dived into Figma and started playing around with the centered idea, having the text and a form and a little bio at the bottom. Went into trying out the sidebar idea, and what I wasn't liking about either of these designs is the fact that they looked so plain and white. I wanted a minimal feel, but I love my homepage on my website, the bright purple background. I wanted to bring more color into my site because in general that's something I struggle with in design is embracing color, a lot of color. So this is what I tried to do. So instead I decided to put a colored block behind my sidebar, and that was working out quite well. Sort of ties in nicely with my one pager, as you can see here. So that's what I kind of ran with. I think this one here was actually the final design. As you can see, when I design, I'll just duplicate artboards a bunch of times and work on one thing at once. The footer wasn't worked on for a while, but yeah, this was the footer in here that I went with in the end. So my concept, let me just move this, I was measuring something, was to have this purple sidebar, and I thought that maybe when you scroll down it could shrink up to be this little block that you see here, so that's what this design is showing. And I like the idea of having my blog posts on a card with a colourful block behind it, and my idea was that the colour would match the category that the blog post was in, the main category. So yeah, I tried out a few different things with the sidebar, having no color, having fixed the side and a block of color. But in the end, I decided that this colorful block sitting there would be the best thing for me, and that would change too, depending on the category of the blog, and that would have a form at the end. I decided to have a bright purple footer just to again relate back to the homepage, and little cards relating to each blog post. I also tried the sidebar over on the right, because I think that is the traditional place for a sidebar on a blog. But yeah, just didn't like it as much. My sidebar is kind of acting as the navigation, whereas I think usually a blog sidebar on the right has kind of a bio and, I don't know, sometimes people put ads in them and things. That's obviously not something I'm doing on my site. So yeah, this design here was what I settled on for my blog homepage. And then on the blog posts themselves, it'll have the same sidebar, but it'll change color depending on the category. And then in the footer on the blog page, instead of a form, since there's a form right here at the end of a blog post, if you remember from my wireframing video, I wanted to have the ability to, if I, for example, create a free downloadable PDF or something, or if there's a specific project that I talk about in the blog post that you might want to get updates on, I'm going to put in a form, a ConvertKit form for that thing in the blog post. So I thought it made more sense to have it here than in the footer, on the homepage. I really should have put these designs next to each other, because this is kind of a site-wide thing, and it doesn't seem, if I'd had this on the blog post page, it wouldn't have felt quite as related to the post itself. So in this design, this form is much more related to the blog post because it's up here right underneath it in the content. That freed up my footer space to put stuff that wasn't particularly related to that blog post, which I figured was links to other blog posts. What else did I try that I can show you? Oh yeah, I thought maybe that this could change color as you scroll down. That could be kind of cool, some sort of fading thing, just like I have my pink to purple gradient on the homepage. But in the end, I decided that setting the color based on the color of the category would kind of be cooler and a bit more cohesive, so that's what I went with. Yeah, I also tried this little sub footer thing but decided I didn't really like that, and I liked my cards idea better. So that's the design in a nutshell. I didn't go through a super long design process with it for two reasons. Firstly, I'd already done a lot of wireframing and figured out my ideas there of what I wanted to work on, so yeah, it didn't have to be super long. The second reason is I just didn't want to spend too long on this. I probably could have gone through and iterated and spent a lot more time trying some more completely different ideas, which is what I usually like to do in my design process. But yeah, at this stage, it's been a while, just wanted to get my blog up, so I kind of just like went for it, you know, and I'm really happy with what I came up with too. It was just one of those, you know, good days when the design actually works out. Anyway, let's jump into Webflow now, and I'll show you what this looks like as the finished site and some of the like cool parts of the build behind it. So here is my finished website. As you can see, pretty much looks like the design, just a lot shorter because I only have 2 blog posts up at the time of writing this. Before I get into showing it to you, like what it looks like in real life, I want to show you how I've got things set up in the CMS, the fields and things that I use. So I have 2 CMS collections in Webflow for my blog, one for posts and one for topics. So that's like my blog categories. What I found really good about working with the Webflow CMS has been just, you know, adding whatever the heck fields that you want and then being able to work with them later for like, you know, certain things. So for my blog posts, this is a list of what I have. Got the name, got the topic, and this references that topic field, you know, so that's connected. I put in a summary, so that's what appears on my card. There's a space to put in a ConvertKit form. This field here I actually haven't ended up using yet. I haven't implemented some sort of like social sharing on the blog yet. I just wanted to like get it out, you know, so that'll come in the future, and this field will be used then. Probably have to add one for like Facebook as well, I guess. And then featured, this is a switch that I can turn on or off if I want to feature it on my homepage. Right now I just have both blog posts on there because there is only 2, but that'll come in handy in the future. Anyway, in the topics CMS collection, this is the fields that I have. So there is a name, a description of what the topic is about, and this is my favorite part, is being able to set a color per collection. Because like you saw in my design, I'm making use of that quite heavily throughout. So yeah, when I was designing, I was like hoping it would work in the way I intended, and luckily it did. Anyway, I've also set a form per topic, as well as being able to set one per blog post. So the way I set it up is that if I have set up a specific ConvertKit form that relates to a blog post I'm writing, then I can drop the link to that in the, you know, this field here in my blog posts, and it'll appear on the page. If not though, it'll use the default form for that topic. Are you following me? And I'll show you in a sec how I got that set up. So yeah, those are my fields, 2 blog posts at the moment. Let me show you a bit about how it was built. So these cards here feature obviously the title, the topic, description, and then like a button to read. So all of that comes from the different fields. It's pretty easy in Webflow just to like see here I say get text from blog post, and you select which field you want it to get it from. So that's how you work with it. If you want to know more about that, about working with Webflow CMS, I'll link to some like videos in their university, which is how I learned how to use it. This video isn't sponsored by them, by the way. So these cards, to get this color offset but also like stay the same size as it, the trick to this, and I had help with Ryan, who's the brand designer at Webflow on this, is you set this white card and this color card into one div together, and that is set with a relative position. And then this color block is set with an absolute position, which means you can like shift it to the side a little and down a little bit with 100% height and width. If you don't know code, then this might all sound like nonsense to you, but yeah, that's how I did it. And then this white card is set with a Z index that's higher. And Z index basically controls where in the depth that something goes. Think of it like your layers panel in Figma or Sketch or whatever, if you want to have a layer sitting in front or behind. So adding a higher Z index forces it to sit on top. So that's why this white card sits on top of the pink one. And then let me show you something cool I added here for interaction. So I had seen this post here by Alice Lee. See, as I move my mouse, this illustration does this amazingly cool thing. I wanted to do something with things moving on the page with your mouse on my blog. So what I did is, see, as I moved my mouse around, these color blocks very subtly move with it as well, up and down, side to side, whatever. Really subtle, not as cool as the thing on Alice's website for sure, but I just thought it was a really fun touch, and I was excited to be able to add it because that's something that I would have no idea how to do if I was actually coding. So yeah, thought I wanted to make use of that. For my category pages, if you click on any of these little like pill button things, you'll get taken to one. It says thoughts on, and then the category name with the description there. And yeah, there's only one post at the moment, so that's not very exciting. Let's go into this post and I'll show you a few more things. So pay attention to my sidebar menu as I scroll down here. as I scroll, you get to a point on the page where the menu shrinks up. Isn't that exciting? And that then as you scroll back up, it opens again. Oh. A couple of things happened there. So let me just refresh so I can show you. So first off, as I scroll, we'll see that little descriptor line disappeared and my social icon, like profile links, swapped out to this. Like I talked about in my wireframe video, I've decided not to have comments on my blog. That's just not something that I want to keep up with, essentially. And so if people want to talk to me about an article that I wrote, I would much rather them just send me a tweet about it. So that's what I have put in here. And then as you scroll back up, this tweet thing stays there still, but your menu expands and my little descriptor line comes back, and then it'll disappear again if I scroll back down. So it means that all of that stuff is easily accessible, but it just like stays out of your way a little bit so you can focus more on reading the article. And I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. I was trying a whole bunch of different ways to start with. Like I had 2 different versions of the menu where this one would like scroll away and then one would like drop in as you scroll down. But this is much nicer, I think, because it feels more fluid and it feels more, I don't know, it just feels nicer, right? I did this by using position sticky on this block here. So what that does is basically holds a div in place until you get to the bottom of the like container div that it's in. And I did have to use some custom code for that. So see, as I scroll down to this very bottom and get to the footer, it stops scrolling with me so that it doesn't end up overlapping it, which is the exact thing that I wanted. And look, see on this form, I've also done the card thing here. Very fun. To get this menu scrolly thing working, I use Webflow interactions on page scroll. So it looks for when you scroll down 20% of the page, it's going to do the shrink up thing. Then if you scroll up 40%, it does the open thing. So it doesn't happen immediately. There's a little bit of a delay there, which I thought was important to us not, to feel too jarring. So let's take a look just quickly at what this does. Basically with Webflow interactions, you make a timeline, and I had to do a lot of playing around to figure out the best way to do this. But the best way to get something to appear, if you just use this hide show, which is an option, it's just gonna suddenly come in. Because what that one's doing is going between display none, which means you don't see the element, and display block, which means you do see the element. There's not something that code can animate between those two, if that makes sense. It's either on or it's not. There's no in between. So I've made use of size instead. So if something has a height of 0, that means you can't see it. It doesn't exist. And if it animates to a height of auto, which is the height that the block of content wants to be because of the things inside it, then that is a number. You could set something to be 0, 10, 20, 30, whatever. So it can animate between the two. So that's what worked for me in getting this accordion, open, close, smooth thing to look nice. So this is what I went through. So to start with, I turn on the menu button, but set it to a height of 0 so that it's on, but it doesn't have a height, so you can't see it yet. Then we get into the action. This one changes to 0, as you can see down here, height of 0. My sidebar H3, that's this line here, that changes to 0, and so that means it will shrink up and disappear. This one here is my little drop-down menu icon. I'll show you that in the live one. I've made that turn around depending on if the menu is open or closed, just for a bit of fun, because I could. And yeah, then the menu button opens this bit here. That's what I was talking about. So that's how I got my interaction to work. Basically just on scroll, it does that stuff. And this purple box will just be the height of whatever's inside it. So as this stuff changes, the whole purple box changes as well. I hope that made some form of sense. Anyway, it was fun to figure that out and spend a bunch of time in this timeline figuring out how long things should take, how they should appear and disappear like I was talking about. And yeah, I'm really happy with where I ended up. Now let me just show you my thing for the form. So I said they swap out on a page. So there's really only a few page templates I had to make to create this blog. This is just a regular page where I dragged in a collection list. So that means that I can put something on the page, connect it to my blog posts, and it'll put the blog post in there. And then I can do the thing like I was showing you before, where I get the text from a field on blog posts. So here's my form at the end. And this is the default, what I've called the general form. So if not one isn't set, this will show. And how I did that, if I come in here, so you can set conditional visibility. This is something that I would do in PHP when I'm coding for the ConvertKit website, but I'm assuming this uses JavaScript or something like that. I don't actually know how it works on the back end. But yeah, basically you can set different conditions for something to be seen or not. So this one says that if ConvertKit form, which is the field in my blog post, if that doesn't have anything inside it, then this will show. But I've got this HTML embed here. If it is set, then the HTML embed will show, and that embed is like, yeah, the link to the ConvertKit form. As you can see, these don't show in the backend in Webflow because they are JavaScript and you can only see them on the live site, but yeah, you saw that just before. And something else I did for this bit down here, this is my block, where I'm showing other blog posts that you could read. I obviously didn't want to have the current one appearing there, but if I just drag in a list of all the blog posts, it will show that one. So what I've done is set a filter on it, so if blog post is not the current blog post, then it can be shown here. Oh, and something else I just realized that I want to do is set it to random order as well. Right now I only have one, so that's not gonna do much, but yeah, that'll be important for the future. And I've set this to only show 3 items as well, so that it will stack 1, 2, 3 in a row once I actually have 3 posts to show. And how all my different color block things work with the color changing depending on the blog post, that sort of thing. In the settings, I can say get the background color from blog posts and then select the topic color field. So yeah, pretty easy. I was a bit disappointed that I couldn't do that for hover states. My ideal would have been to have this button here have a pink background with white text on hover. Although I just realized that I could do a hack around that by setting up a different element on top. I might go back and do that because I didn't think about that until literally just now. But yeah, for now I have this just with a slightly grey background so that it does something at least. So yeah, that's my blog. Let me just go into this one and I'll show you how there's a green sidebar on the content creation post. Yeah, go check it out, go play with it for real. Let me know if you find anything broken so that I can fix it. I'm especially proud of this post here, my 2017/18 income report. This is something I want to do every year, just, yeah, basically talk about the different sources of income that I had for the year. So go and check that out, give it a read, and tweet me, let me know what you think. Alright, so that was a look at my blog, Design and Build. I know this video was very long, so thank you if you stuck with me till the end. I did feel like there was a lot of parts I had to gloss over though, even still. So if you have questions about any of the details, anything in particular, please leave them down below in the comments. I will for sure go in there and answer them for you. I'm so happy to finally have this blog done. I feel like I got stalled with this website redesign project for a very long time, and that, yeah, having this done has given me my mojo back, and I've already done a lot more that I'm excited to show you in future videos. The next one coming up in the series is about the design for my online store. That was a fun process to go through. So yeah, stay tuned for that. That'll be the next video in the series. Hope you enjoyed this one. Give it a thumbs up if you did. Like I said, questions in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.